Well, hello and welcome to our Subconscious Speaks. My name is Don Robert,
And
and
I'm Tina Orlando.
and together we are Tina, Orlando, and Don. Brumputs.
Absolutely.
And we are two peas in a pod. We're both award-winning, top of our class clinical hypnotherapists and honors graduates from the Hypnosis Motivation Institute in Tarzana, California. And here on our podcast, we will be discussing all things conscious, subconscious, and anything in between. So we invite you to come hang out. New episodes are dropping weekly. We encourage you to interact with us, to like, follow, subscribe, and comment because we actually pay attention to comments and incorporate them into other episodes. So, welcome all. Today, our topic is it seems kind of obvious. Maybe we missed it in the beginning, but our subconscious speaks.
No,
What is
you
that?
don't say.
What is that, Tina? Let's talk about that. What about the birth of this thing called our subconscious speaks?
The birth of this. Well, I think it was the conversations we had,
Huh.
right? I think we spent hours, let's just say days, speaking about everything, whether it was, who we are, what we do. But we kind of came together out of HMI and kindred spirits, have many commonalities between the two of us. I think that's where it kind of was born out of. There was a moment where I was going to do a podcast on my own, but it's not as much fun. It's too hard. There's no banter back and forth. It's not what everybody thinks and wants. So then, of course, between that and all our conversations, I think you were like, we should do this together.
Right.
And I was like, well, that would make a lot of sense because, even though we have a lot of similarities, we also see things from different perspectives that, you know, is a pretty well-rounded thing. I mean, it's like a yin and yang type of situation. And you could pick if you want to be like the dark or the light, or I think we kind of go
I
back
think
and
we
forth
take
because we have
turns. I think that is like forever
it's a spinning
spinning.
wheel, a spinning wheel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is
Um,
not cut in stone.
yeah. So, and I think that's, I mean, where it started. And I really think that it kind of comes from, liking to talk and liking to be heard. And I think we kind of pass that baton back and forth a lot. Um, yeah. So, I mean, what for you? I mean, I think you were the one that said it, weren't you?
Well,
Yeah.
so there was no like 4.5 years ago when we first really connected and started chatting and talking and let's be clear. I told Melissa this the other day. I'm like, we had a conversation one day for 8 hours.
That's
Like,
right.
yes, there was time to switch AirPods from my pros to my other ones, but it was, and it's just free flowing.
Yeah.
But that certainly wasn't like the birth of what would be a podcast, but you could
No.
kind of indirectly say what we were doing was the framework.
Hmm.
Like if you listen to last week episode, right? The pause.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
it was such a good example of what it might be like if you were on the phone while you and I were having our hour, 2, 3, 4 hour long talks where
Right.
anything goes, right? So
Yeah.
this idea of having a topic, right? Like the pause. Okay, well, what the hell is that? And where's that
Right.
come from? And so I feel it really felt like last week was a good indicator of if you guys were just hanging around listening to us have our chats.
Yeah.
That's what it would
Uh,
be pretty much. And
yeah.
so, in the spirit of that, we're going to try and do that every episode. It's a little different, right? Because this is recorded. We're not using cue cards, or there's no script scrolling in front of us. There's no
There's no
teleprompters. There's no rehearsal. This
there's
is
no
live.
rehearsal.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Take one and
Check the
only.
gate.
Check
Hmm.
the gate.
Check the
That's
gate.
awesome. There you go.
Hmm.
Right on. So, whenever we talk about like the birth of the podcast or the beginning of it, or it really didn't start with a thought of you and I. It was you got an
Mhm.
opportunity. And
Mhm.
at this time, I was barely working as a hypnotherapist because I had taken a vice president role
Right.
with a wonderful organization that provides home health care and mobility solutions. And I was driving a lot, like over an
Yes.
hour a day. It was horrible.
Mhm.
And
I feel your pain.
guess who would get a phone call on my way home from work? Yep, that's right. Well, Tina just raised her hand for those of you on Apple
That
and
would be
only
me.
listening. So I still remember when I know where I was on the 23 coming because I used to take the 118. These are California freeways, by the way. And did you ever notice that people from California put a the before the
The
freeway number?
Well, that's a Southern California thing.
Oh, they
Northern
don't do, oh,
California,
because you're a Bay girl. You don't do it up
yes.
there?
No, it's I'm gonna take 880 and then I'm gonna go 101.
Yeah, so here it
Or
would
I'm gonna
be,
take
so you're gonna take
238.
the 80 to the 101?
Yeah, yeah.
What is that about? Can we
I
just
don't know. I
I
don't know.
didn't
It's like
know. Like there's
it's
this
a
one guy I
clear
follow on TikTok that loves to talk about the historical things that happen in LA. The next time he posts, I'm gonna ask him, what's the deal with the?
the before the
He will know.
405.
There, I bet you if we could Google it, somebody's Googling it right now, going, God, geez, these guys don't know their own story.
Well, I do know Northern California is completely different than Southern
Yes,
California. Like the Bay Area owns the word hella, as opposed to that being a Southern California thing. Like this is how it goes. It's like Giants Dodgers type of thing.
that's
So
hella silly.
it's hella silly. It's hella stupid. Um, so I mean the and then not having the for Northern California, that's a marker for where you're from.
All
So
right. Back from our sidebar. So
sidebar.
I'm on the 118, which runs east and west through the San Fernando Valley and the Simi Valley. And so the 23 brings me down towards where I live, which is a north south. And I still remember the area on the freeway when you had gotten an opportunity, somebody had solicited you to do a podcast where they were going to support you. And oh, by the way, mental note, sorry everybody, but sidebar for just Tina and I. Shh, we'll be right back. Hey, you should contact them.
I should.
Yeah,
I should.
please make a note.
Okay. I will make a note right now.
So Tina was wrestling with what to call her podcast. The idea of her and I joining up hadn't really, I don't think it had even been brought up. It wasn't like, hey, let's do it together yet. It was you, and I was supporting you, like I show up for you and you show up for me, and supporting and loving you, and you were kicking around names, and then out of nowhere, the original first name was The Subconscious Speaks.
That's correct.
Yes. And it was like one of those I
Lightning
call them
bolt
God
moments.
shots, lightning bolts, and inspirational moments where it's
Thunderstruck.
not me, right? It's
Yeah.
something greater than me that says the subconscious speaks. And boom, there it was, right? And can you remember I don't I want to say I don't think it was until recently that we were talking about, well, I was bugging you all the time about have if you had done anything with them, if you had heard anything from them, if like I was nudging you along in a kind, loving, and supportive sales manager kind of way, like get off your ass and take action, woman, right?
Yes. Yes.
And Tina
But
is
wait.
typically overloaded because she has a couple of different jobs and she drives a lot. So she's got a lot of balls in the air. And then she's an awesome single mom and super supportive. Drew, we love you. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So I don't remember when it shifted and the idea became, why
Well,
don't we do
there
it?
were times that we would have conversation and you would say, "Oh, that would be good on the podcast," or "We should
Yeah.
really do a podcast." Like you would say it
Okay.
jokingly, even though there was that serious like undertone of, maybe we should do this. Like,
Yeah.
because we said it a lot. We did say it a lot,
Okay.
like,
All right.
but it was more just like, by the way, we should, like, it was one of those things.
One of my favorite Shakespeare references is what's the statement? Something about jesting, right? That many a truth is spoken in jest.
Yes,
And
it's true.
so that is my humorous, suggestive, conversational hypnosis way of because you can do
Absolutely.
it over the phone. We weren't on
Yeah.
Zoom doing it, right? We see
Yeah.
each other on Zoom in classes and whatnot, but because we were in school at the same time for a brief period, three months or so. Tina was ahead of me, even though we both graduated in the same year and month.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were a few months ahead of me. Like your
Yeah.
group had already moved on to like 201 when I had just gotten started in
Yeah.
101. You might have
Yeah.
already been in 301. I don't remember.
Um, well, we ended up in 501 together.
We
So I think
did.
that's what,
But we
yeah,
didn't enter 501 together. You were not in my
no.
what's the name of that when they indoctrinate you into 501, right? Sandy
Yeah.
has the meeting with you. Oh,
Hmm.
and by the way, if you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, our beloved HMI, Hypnosis Motivation Institute, the first accredited college of hypnotherapy in the United States. They break up their year. It's a year-long program. The first 6 months are intensive study, and then in month 6 you kind of take this next step into working with pro bono clients as well as continue your education. And that's really where the friendship picked up, is when Tina and I were, like many of us that were students in COVID, we were accomplished and intelligent and like high performing students that were given pro bonos based on what we represented as our ability to work with others in
Hmm.
practicums and whatnot. And that's when it first really, the meaningful conversations beyond, like, because I'm wondering if our audience is like, well, so you guys would talk for 4 hours about what?
What? Who talks to somebody like for
What the
four
hell
hours?
is, like, and why are you not married? Like, how are you're just friends? Like, what is that? Right. And it's possible. It's
It is
absolutely
possible.
possible to be. I've had so many wonderful, strong relationships with women that were never my girlfriend or wife or anything. Like, I've just been really blessed with strong women leaders in my life, and you're one of them.
Right. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I mean, it, like I said recently, that, your sales techniques, your friendship, your guidance, your quiet nudging, really, really changed kind of the way I started doing stuff.
Mm,
Like, I'm just, that's not my, that's out of my scope of knowledge. Like, I know certain things, I know marketing stuff and I know those terms, but I never heard
right.
so many sales terms and how it was put, you know, between you and the son who can sell a car.
That's right.
Those two things, I was like, oh wait, this is the pitch. This is how he does it. This is how.
Right.
So, it just, that was not what we talked about. We talked about, all the things that were going on in school and how, this case study and that case study and how we're going to help this person. And because we did have such a, I mean, I don't know how many pro bonos. They just kept coming. Like,
Yeah.
okay, the more you could take, the more you could do. Like, and so I think that's kind of where we started really talking, was things in class that were clear or whatever. I think that's where we kind of started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was definitely like two kindred spirits kind of looking at the same thing through our own internal representations, our own lens, right? And
Hmm.
sharing with each other what we picked up or noticed or thought, or yeah, it was
Hmm.
like our own little mini case conference that
It's true.
happened. And it
How
was every day. It wasn't like we would talk once a week on Sundays or something. It was like every day,
it was.
even before I started driving an hour each way to work.
Yeah, because this was
So
during COVID. So
yeah, that's when it was birthed, right?
yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
like COVID, the shelter in place was announced, and I don't know, maybe it was a week later when the school announced that they're shifting their entire operation onto Zoom.
The entire thing, the entire thing. How do you shift from being in person to on Zoom in a school so effortlessly? Like, and it just kind of moved that way, and everybody just adapted and was like, okay, this is what we're doing. We'll just learn as we go. And everybody just kind of did it. It was quite amazing to see them shift that way.
It really
Um,
was. I have to give kudos to our director, George
yeah,
Kappas. I
yeah,
mean,
and
he
everybody.
and the staff and his like Lee and Adam and all those guys back in the tech room, how
They're
they
crazy.
literally transformed one of our favorite classrooms that they would have the American Hypnosis Association presentations. They turned it into a
Studio.
like a newsroom studio. There was this big desk up front. Like, oh my God. Yeah.
They did such a great job. It was,
Oh, good.
and I mean, I don't know any other schools that would kind of move that. I mean, high schools couldn't do it. Like,
No.
elementary schools couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out. I mean, now you got all kinds of challenges. But even so, I mean, they just talk about path of least resistance, right? Like, that's saying, I like it and moving on with it.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I'm quoting John Kappas, just say you like it, and takes out that angst of having to kind of mold it into something that works for you instead of you just going with the flow of things. Talk
Yeah.
about that. Like, that's the statement,
Yeah.
you know, path
Absolutely.
of, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Hmm. Hey,
mm-hmm.
I didn't warn you about this, but today's kind of been a big day for me. We're by the way, should we peel back the curtain a little? So we shoot an episode typically on Saturdays, and I get around to posting it on Sunday, Monday. Um, and so today is Saturday, the 14th of September, and there was a little announcement that was made today about yours
Yes, there was.
truly.
Yes, there
Um,
was. Tell me all about this announcement, Don. I mean, this
yeah.
is huge.
So for the last year, I was attending AOS, occupational studies in mind body psychology, and just completed that. And during the last month of my schooling, Mr. Kappas reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in returning as an associate instructor and mentor. So they've changed the mentor structure where you actually are coaching the students on 10 different specific topics that are applicable to their ability to be a successful hypnotherapist. And so, of course, I said yes. And
Of
so
course.
today it was officially announced on the HMI website, and I've reshared it on my socials. And it's it, I never felt more at home when I was in that studio that we were just
Mm-hmm.
referencing. I still remember
Mm-hmm.
my first class that I taught, and I was sitting at the news desk, and I just felt like did this just in. So,
This just in.
and I was like,
Congratulations.
I was nervous, right? Because and I believe nerves are a representation of something that somebody cares about, right? So I was a little
Mhm.
nervous, but as soon as I started talking and got into my topic for the day, I just felt at home. It
Right.
just felt right.
Anticipatory
Yeah.
nerves.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to being part of our beloved HMI again, and big stuff going on. So
Well, congratulations. So
thank
proud of
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well deserved. They are
Thank you.
getting somebody that can make a difference.
I,
So
I'd like to think so. And I think what's interesting is, so if you were paying attention, you heard back, or maybe you picked up on the subtlety of returning, right? Because I was an associate instructor before, and then I got this big vice president offer that was, I mean, they literally backed up the truck and made me an offer I couldn't refuse,
right.
but it was very demanding of my time and
Yes.
energy and effort, and I was barely still doing some
Hmm.
one-on-one coaching and hypnotherapy with people, but it
Right.
was typically from people that had been with me for a while that would come back for once in a while, and so it was a really difficult decision that I had to step down because I couldn't keep up.
I know. I
It was too
life
much. It
sometimes,
was horrible.
but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a reason for everything.
I believe so because I'm in a different place now.
Hmm.
I'm in complete control of my calendar and I have multiple streams of revenue that are coming in, none of which
Right.
require me to drive an hour to go sit in an office.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
that's living,
Here,
man.
here's my office. And for those of you that can't see, I work from home.
That's a wonderful thing, right?
Me in my Zoom room.
You you and your Zoom room. That is
That's right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
That's
thanks for that.
wonderful.
Just wanted to just let
Absolutely.
our listeners know, like, it's kind of exciting, big stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get back to us. Enough about me. Um, so this idea of your podcast, The Subconscious Speaks, comes up,
Hmm.
and it's really a culmination of a lot of conversations we've had, and so I was thinking about what the hell does that mean? Our subconscious speaks. What are we inferring there? That is straight up inference. That is not direct at all, right? As we talked about the two types of
Literal.
ability, literal
Hmm.
and inferred. What I want to hear what you have to say. I feel like I'm talking a lot today because I'm just very
Okay.
excitable today.
I know
So
you're so excited, and it's wonderful that you have all these wonderful things happening. It's great.
well,
So,
you
yeah.
know, a couple episodes from now, we're going to talk about the light and the dark, the heavy and the light, the you know the.
Yeah.
I have to work extra hard at being positive and being forward motion thinking, right? It's easy for me to get kind of stuck. And
Hmm.
that really bleeds over to this discussion I want to have today with you is what does it mean that our subconscious speaks? So when I say that to you with a question mark at the end, what comes up for you?
Hmm. What comes up for me is that we have the answers. We do. It's whether we can access the information. It's whether we can articulate it back into our lives. Um, I mean, we know, I've said this before, we know a lot of the answers to our problems through patterns and loops and you know we do, and it's the thing is that we're not really listening because we're too busy getting to the next thing. So it, if we slow down, we can actually hear it. But our subconscious does speak. It does come out. It is there, and I think that through those patterns, they come the lessons that that we keep repeating in our life. And for some reason, we're not listening. Like we're not paying attention to it. To go, why does this one person keep coming back into our life?
Mm,
Why does this statement always keep happening? We have the answer. It's there. I promise you, it's there. But sometimes we can't access it because we're too muddled with all the other things going on, the message units, the information,
mm.
all of it coming at us at record speed. um so that's where it comes from. Like our subconscious is speaking. At least for me, this is kind of how I see it. I might have more to say when you say something.
That's usually how it works. um, okay, so you know, we talked about this a little bit in prior episodes. You mentioned the term message units. I don't know if we ever properly kind of discussed what a message unit is. I do remember us talking about the cup running over,
Hmm.
right? We did talk about the
Hmm.
cup, and in the cup, I don't remember if we. I mean, it's only of several weeks ago. How could I not remember? But
Because there's
um,
always message units coming in.
that's right. Uh, so the what's going into the cup that overflows by the end of the day when you've kind of reached your limit are those message units. And what is a message unit? Sorry to turn it back on you, but I'm
You're
flipping
just
the script today.
mean. You're just mean. Message
No,
unit.
we want to hear.
Information coming in. Message unit. Known associations, likes, dislikes, everything, willpower, like all those things coming at you. It could be emotions and feelings and thoughts. All these things are that are coming at you. Those are message units.
Yeah.
And if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, overflowing that cup, what happens at that point? You can't listen to anything. You need to just slow it back down. You need to recenter, take that pause.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so the message units is everything going on. Lights, smells, is it kinesthetic? Is it tangible? Is it, feelings and emotions, everything going on. Yeah, that's what a message unit is. And there's been a lot today.
It's if you were a computer, it would be bits of information.
Yes,
And if
that's
your
a really
hard
good way to say
drive
it.
was 20 gigs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're at 19.5 and you get one more message, text, phone call, email that just puts you right up to your limit. You're like, that's it. I'm
Yeah,
done. And
yeah.
people can actually see this about themselves. They don't, I don't think they really necessarily put the two together and go, oh,
They
I've
don't.
received too many message units today.
No one
I
says
don't think
that.
I've ever said that about myself, but
No.
I definitely know when I've you've learned my habits.
Yes.
You will call it like 7:17 or something, and you're like, am I in the window still? Like, because there's a point where I shut down, like I eat and then I like to watch TV. I grew up on TV.
You
I'm a
decompress.
TV, I'm an episode binging guy. I love it. Right. But
I
yeah,
gotta get that call in because I've just, walked in from, wherever I'm coming from, and I know your schedule, and I'm like,
yes.
hold
Yeah.
on.
Um, so there's this idea of like the knowns, right? So the message
Mm-hmm.
units and knowns and that which is living in our subconscious. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was learning about this, you know, 5 years ago now, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is like I think this is like the first in 101. So they have 101, 201, 301, 401, and 501, and then now 601, which is a whole year in itself. But
Mm-hmm.
in 101, they have sections, and I think the first lecture in 101 is about this idea of message units and these
Mm-hmm.
known associations and Dr. Kappas theorized and kind of perfected the idea that from birth to about 8 or 10 years old we're collecting what he calls these known associations that
Mm-hmm.
live in our subconscious. These are things that today come out automatically, right?
That's
So when
correct.
I when I when I got that, I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense, right? And then I thought about my own children, and I'll be
Mm-hmm.
curious if you had this experience ever. And they're it's almost like um babies are just born perfect.
Yeah.
They have no heavy message units, no heavy darkness or noise. Like it's just like that's all picked up along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through their
Mm-hmm.
own
Learned
parents and
behavior.
siblings and peers and I feel like we spend our lifetime trying to get back to where we were when we were born, which is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely had that experience. You know, where I could see, maybe it was a little bit different. I could see the patterns that were built in my own children. Like, oh, great. Whoops. There's gonna be some therapy there.
Yeah.
All right, kids.
Yeah.
Not for lack of love. Because as parents, it's your first time being a parent. Like, how are you supposed to know? I mean, some of the things that you do, especially years and years ago, they just your intention isn't ever bad. I mean, at least not for me, or I'm sure not for you. Your
No.
intention for your children's experience on this planet is never a bad thing.
Right.
So, but yes, I could see the patterns of things, and I'm like, oh man, how do I change that now? Um, so there,
Now, I feel very blessed. It didn't work out with their mom, but I feel very blessed that Grace was their mother, and she had been a nanny and she had studied. God, I'm going to butcher it.
child development.
something like, but it was a very specific technique, and
Hmm.
that you don't, talk to your children and baby talk, and you treat them like an individual person, right? Um and
You mean like how they used to do it old school? Like we don't talk to babies that way.
it's like riff or something. It's infant. I didn't think I was going to
It's
bring
okay.
this up, so I didn't research
It's
it and
not
remember.
scripted.
Yeah, no, there's no cue card alerting
Yeah,
me. This is what you're
yeah,
looking for.
right.
The point is that I was consciously aware, not only from my own childhood and how I wanted to represent the next generation of children, right? So our era, right? Gen X got raised a certain kind of way. And
Yeah.
then we then have now become parents and raised our children a certain kind of way with a
Mhm.
certain level of consciousness. But as we learned early on in our episodes here, the conscious and the subconscious, what rules that?
Patterns, known associations, the
Yeah.
subconscious mind. Like we
Yeah.
keep
Is
going.
it close? Is it like 60-40? Is it 30-70? Is it like
Oh, it's
50-50?
not that close. It's like 90-10.
It's
I think
yeah,
we
at
decided on
best it's
90-10.
90-10. Yeah. There's a lot of other
Maybe.
people in this world that say it's more like 95-5, as we know,
Well,
right?
yeah, I think with the rise of social media
Mm,
and staring at the boxes,
yeah,
you know, phones, iPads,
I would agree. Yeah,
tablets,
that's an
it's
excellent point.
it's increasing because they've done studies, and I believe it's at Stanford where they did the study that 7 minutes on social media um, will drop you into a state of hypnosis. And they did this study specifically for gambling.
Huh.
So to get the information of how we're going to get them to press the button, they did this study to see how open they were to being hypnotized
Right.
into more, more, more,
Yeah.
more. And the way the brain and the mind were working,
Yeah.
it's within 7 minutes.
That's so funny. So here we go. This is not
Go.
planned. Like, this is how it happens.
Mhm.
So one of my comforts, one of my security blankets, one of my comforting shows to watch, when I don't want to watch the heavy drama show or the fire show or the cop show, that's a lot of
Right,
drama,
right.
right? It's The Office, because it's so absurd and so hilarious. And the other night, the episode where Jim actually trains God, what's his name? Jesus. Dwight,
Hmm.
by having his computer make a sound and then offering him an Altoid.
Pavlov's dog
Yes.
or Schrodinger's cat, one
No,
of the
it's
two.
Pavlov. It's Pavlov.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
he did it like over and over and over to the point where the chime went off on the computer and Dwight sticks his hand out and Jim
Right.
looks at him and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, like he didn't know. That's the subconscious speaking. That was programming, right? And so you
Yes.
can positively and negatively program your thoughts.
Yes.
Are we
You
ready to
can.
go there? Right? Because that's really what we're talking about, this whole subconscious speaking thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, are you listening?
That is right. So that's part of the pause, right? If you're paying
Mm.
attention and you give yourself that split second. Listen, I don't know if we said it, but the ability to pause in the middle of a situation that is a heightened awareness, or like if your sympathetic nervous
Stressful.
system's going in overload and you're freaking out, the ability to self pause is very difficult. I don't know if we made that clear, right?
I know we probably made it sound like it's super easy. Just step back and breathe.
Yeah,
No,
no. Now,
no.
there are schools of thought that you can, in a state of hypnosis, which we've established is just a deep state of focused relaxation, you can reframe, rearrange, and shift the way that you react right? And I've done this with a lot of kind of hypersensitive people that I've worked with, where I work in the power of the pause as part of their what happens when, right? So they see themselves going into overload. There is still that 5-10% that they're responsible for, which is
Mhm.
the ability to pay attention and pause, right? So that to me is the listening. And then the listening goes one step further, which is like, where's this coming from? Is this an old negative known association, or is this one of my new positive ones?
Can we go back to
Absolutely.
the programming of their
Right.
responsibility? Hold
Yeah.
on. So their responsibility, the 5-10%.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you spent as much time as I spent at HMI in hypnosis. So I have a question. Um, did you find that you were, because of all this work that we were doing, whether it was maybe you were just, witnessing the class, maybe you were in it, but did you find that your behaviors were shifting towards a positive side without even trying?
I would have to say yes, but it was indirect input. It wasn't even
Right.
like somebody gave me a suggestion in a practical.
Nope.
Although I want to give our dear friend Ali a little nod. Ali did a practice with me. I still remember it. We were in the room with the blue chair, and it was just like this
Mm.
magical.
Mhm.
And he did a staircase with me where I saw my highest self in the mirror, and I described what I was wearing, and then I went on to actually own and wear that suit in that image.
Mhm.
And other than that, though, there's just this positive energy that was
Mhm.
being shared because you're literally learning how to help people.
Yes. But the question is, did
Yes,
you find, yes, the answer is yes. Okay. So because we're talking about that 5-10% that somebody else, that the person is responsible for.
right.
And a lot of the times I find that there's an offshoot where, like, we're talking about one thing in a session, or in mostly in sessions, but then all of a sudden it's like the domino effect. Other
Mm,
things start like dissipating in a very organic way, where they would have reacted one way,
right.
and after we haven't directly spoke about the problem that changed without having confronted it, which is a fascinating side effect of hypnosis, period. um what was your question? I totally got off
I
track. See,
don't
this is
know if
how we
there was
do.
a question. I think we're just really talking about, what this idea of
Oh, the subconscious.
the subconscious speaking,
Yes.
right? And are you listening? So the
Hmm.
listening, we're just kind of talking about
Right.
this bridge effect of
That's what
like
it was.
cart and the horse and 5%, 95,
Right.
90,
That's why I
10,
said it,
whatever.
because
Yeah.
even when we think we're not listening, or it's not a direct statement, you're still getting so much benefit
Ah,
of any hypnosis. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have anxiety, or, I want to quit smoking.
yeah.
And then you go through it, but all these other things, that domino effect starts happening, and things just start smoothing out the edges. And that's what I really found about being in hypnosis. Like, you're smoothing out edges of your personality, your person, your authentic self, without even really trying,
Mm,
because it's just this beautiful side effect of being in that state. I think that you start to separate back and go, okay, wait a minute, wait, this doesn't feel good anymore, so I'm not going to naturally do it anymore. I don't know, it's like this weird domino effect of hypnosis that I absolutely love,
yeah.
and have lots and lots of um you know experience with it, because of my clients. They keep coming back saying, well, we didn't really work on that, but this is what happened. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well,
Yeah.
one of the side effects of hypnosis.
Coincidences seem ironic, don't they?
Yeah, well, I don't really believe in coincidences.
No, but like just like you're sharing, right? I'll have clients come back to me or they'll shoot me a text in between sessions. They're like, "You won't believe what just happened."
One bet.
Right?
Yes, I do.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
I wanna speak to two things that you said that I really appreciated. The not listening thing was the first thing, and one of the things that I love to do to let people off the hook, because some clients feel like an obligation that they're supposed to learn what you're doing with them in hypnosis, and I like to instruct them that, like, even if you don't think you're listening, that's just only because your conscious thoughts have quieted down, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and now there's this openness, this receiving mode
Mm,
directly to your subconscious that doesn't require active listening. The subconscious and imagination is wide open, right?
right.
So
Right.
I love that you said that, because there's
Mm,
really, the 90/10, let's just call it 90/10, right? So the 90% is just all the work that we do in preparing and paying attention and, motivational interviewing and like really preparing for their sessions
hmm.
as their guide, right?
Yes.
Their healer, their guide,
Hmm.
right? On the
Hmm.
path to the first place they want to go, right? We're
Hmm.
very specific, you and I, our
Hmm.
approach, right? Like, okay, I
Hmm.
appreciate you have 17 things you want to work on. What do you want to accomplish now? What's number one?
What's number one? Yes.
I'd
Yeah.
like to be able to get off the couch, maybe you'll be a little motivated. Like, so it can really be that simple, but then that doorway, there's some wonderful magic that happens
Hmm.
when somebody gets focused on one thing and then all of a sudden, when you're looking for your keys and you're like, oh, I can't find my keys. And then like you get a phone call and you're talking about the Dolphin game or whatever, right? Like, and you can
All
believe
of a
hockey
sudden,
season's about to begin and you're like, oh, my keys. Like all of a
my
sudden it
keys,
comes
they're
to you,
there.
right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Love that. Love that. And then the second thing you said is, the state, right? Getting into this state and at school,
Mm.
you and I were lucky enough that the pivotal 6 months we were in person in this cocoon,
Oh, it's amazing.
Tarzana, California, where you literally it
Well,
was like coming home to the mothership, man. It was
yeah,
just awesome.
it was insane. I remember you and I had a conversation about how you start in 101. By time you get to 301, you're a completely different person.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Like, and that is a rapid amount of time. Like, what is that? 12
That's
weeks?
that's a rapid induction is what that is.
I mean, you're just a completely different person. And it's not like you're having to do anything. It's the environment, it's the information. It's like this internal shift from chaos and disorder to, which would be a Prince album, um, to like sanctuary. I know. It is.
Congratulations, you worked in a Prince reference. Nice job.
Thanks. George would be proud.
Yes.
Um, so it's like chaos and disorder into this beautiful sanctuary of belonging and knowledge. And that's really how I see HMI.
Mm,
You're just fed with all this knowledge, you're fed with acceptance. Um, and and then you kind of go into this, 301, where things really start to ramp up, and you're just inundated with information that you can arm yourself with to go out and change things in your life. And
right.
then, of course, you want to change things in other people's lives because now you realize how freaking great this is. And why
Yeah.
is everybody not doing it?
That's the really cool thing is you go in there thinking that you want to help others, but really what starts to happen is you have your own
That's what I
epiphanies
said.
and upheavals and shifts and reframes, and yeah, it's a pretty
That
magical
was
experience. Yeah.
that was my statement. And what, you were there, you graduated
Yeah.
with me.
I was
That was
there.
the statement. Like, I came in here trying to help people, and what I
Yep.
really, what actually happened was they helped me be me. um which is, that's a lot.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
peeling back of the onion.
John Melton.
Yeah. That one's been around for a while. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
I feel like I literally just looked at the clock. I can't believe we've been talking as long as we have already. This is
Right.
what it's like, you guys. I
This
hope,
is it.
yeah, I hope you enjoy the flow that we share. We talk about HMI a lot. And I had this thought. I'm like, should I make sure that it's okay that we mention them all the time? Like, I think it's okay, right?
It's fine.
But it had such a significant impact for both of us, and so many countless others. Do you think, how would you, I don't know if we want to get into this, but
Go for it.
because it's more school related than it is conceptual, right? Like, um, because we could literally see each other in the building, right? It
Mm,
meant that it was constricted to kind of I mean, they had people come from Northern California. They had people come from out of state and live in California to go to school,
yes.
right? Because nothing was on Zoom, zero. It was
No.
all in person
Yeah, there was
and
some weird online course,
distance
but
learning. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
distance
yeah,
learning, but they
yeah,
still came in, by the way.
yeah,
They would still come in for graduations.
right. Um,
Sorry.
so faced with this shelter in place and shifting and like that energy, that state that you referred to that we were in class,
Hmm.
um, I'd like to say it's transferable to a Zoom room. It's different in that you couldn't all be in the break room, but as much as a social butterfly as I like to think I am, like I don't really thrive in that kind of like I'm more one-on-one kind of guy. Like I don't really want to just sit in the break room and chew the fat with everybody about what just happened in class or but it's a different challenge though for the newer students that are now 100% in Zoom from day one. It's different, right? And so I want to, I'll give HMI kudos. They've come up with meetings that they have during the week. They have like this power hour that you did last Wednesday that I'll be doing this Wednesday. And yes, I'm following Tina. She's the leader. Nothing but
Thanks.
that. But they've come up with like the cafe. They have like general meetings so that you can still come together. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
not the touchy feely, not that anybody was touching each other in the school, but like you know what I mean? It's just different energies. But I'm gonna say something, and then I want to hear your response, and then we're gonna close. So I'm gonna bring up Kat Lowe. Because something I learned taking her intuitive healing and development. Is that right? There's
Yes.
one and two, and the
Yes.
one I took on Zoom, and I took it. You were there too, right? So I took it because of Kat and because of a connection I felt to her and how much I respected her and admired what she does. And so I'm like, I'm taking this course. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this over Zoom, but like I'm literally she has me scanning people,
Hmm.
scanning their body in Zoom, and I'm picking up stuff and I'm saying I'm
Hmm.
picking up something in your lower left abdomen, and they're like, huh?
Yeah. I
How the hell
had,
do you
yeah.
know that? Right.
Mm.
So you don't have to be in person.
No.
Um, and I've gone on to have, I know you have as well, phenomenal success. It's actually better that clients see us in Zoom because they're at home. They're in a comfortable setting where they
Yeah.
know where they are. They feel safer
Absolutely.
and private,
Hmm.
than, that's just my take. So, I'm going to give you
Hmm.
final closing words, and then we're going to say goodbye.
um, I, I know what I would. Okay. So here's the deal. If you find yourself, everyone out there, if you find yourself at a crossroads, if you find yourself desperate for change,
Mm,
you need to go and find HMI. You can spend $10,000 and 10,000 hours in a therapy chair. Great. But wouldn't it be better to learn something along the way that could help somebody else?
mm.
I really think everybody, and I've said it before, I think everybody in the world should just go to HMI because I think it'd be a better place. The things that you learn are, there's just no replacing that vast knowledge. And that's coming from somebody that sat and watched a lot of videos.
Yeah. You are the queen of the video watching. You
I
and
am.
you and Jacqueline. Jacqueline is like right up there with you as far as
Nice.
like extra work. She's amazing.
I
Um,
love those videos. You learn so much. You learn so many things. And at HMI, I mean, it's so valuable. So valuable. If you're struggling, you don't know where you fit, you don't check enough boxes, like, you've gone to a million therapists, you're struggling just to hold your head up in the morning, you need to go to HMI.
I
It'll
like that.
change your life.
Yeah, to say it's life changing just feels like an understatement. It just
It
really,
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, well, thanks for that, Tina. I appreciate you. I love you. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
so there it is. Our subconscious speaks. Are you listening?
Are you?
Yeah. I think next episode, let's do a little teaser. Let's maybe talk a little bit about working with the subconscious, and maybe we should tackle the first big client request, which is I struggle from stress, anxiety, and panic attacks. Like, and there's a talk track around that, and what does that mean? And like that topic in itself is a complete episode. So you'll have to stick around and stay tuned for our next episode. But for now, I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. I want to remind you to like, follow and subscribe, comment, share, ask questions. I feel like we need to start. Okay, here it is, plain and simple. It's hypnosis.edu. That's
That's
the
correct.
website.
That's
It's
right.
really simple. It's not
Just simple.
hmi.com or like it's
Nope. It's
hypnosis.edu.
hypnosis.edu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you
Click.
go. Free plug, George. All
Absolutely.
right. Well, there you go. Our subconscious speaks. Are you
Are you
listening?
listening?
Yeah. All right,
Mhm.
Tina. Thank you. Great job. Bye, all.